Recently, Pakistan signed a deal with the US to pump out oil from the coast of Karachi. This is good news for the Pakistani economy, given the looming economic crisis. However, it also raises a major concern. Will the oil wealth be distributed correctly, given that this form of 47 government is dominated by questionable members with billions of rupees worth of corruption cases on their portfolio? There is a high chance that such oil wealth will go into the pockets of a few who will do their best to keep their masters happy. Equatorial Guinea is one of the most extreme examples of a country that became incredibly rich on paper, yet left the majority of its population in deep poverty. In 1995, Mobil's Zafiro-1 oil well struck crude offshore, transforming the economy almost overnight. GDP per capita soared from under $1,000 to over $50,000 within 15 years, higher per capita than Saudi Arabia at one point. Yet, the wealth benefited only a tiny elite. Over 70% of the population still lives in multidimensional poverty, lacking access to basic services like clean water, healthcare, and electricity. Before oil, Equatorial Guinea's economy was based on cocoa and fishing, but once oil was discovered, everything changed. By 2004, oil production peaked at 280,000 barrels per day, making it one of Africa's major producers. Infrastructure boomed, skyscrapers rose, highways carved through jungles, and airports gleamed. On paper, GDP per capita reached $19,000 by 2008, and the World Bank still recorded $6,200 per capita as recently as 2023. However, most of this wealth was siphoned off by the ruling elite. Signature bonuses paid by oil companies reached hundreds of millions, yet government auditors admitted they couldn't trace where much of the money ended up. At the heart of this story is President Teodoro Obiang, who seized power in a 1979 coup and remains in control over 4 decades later, running one of the world's longest-standing dictatorships. Elections routinely return him to power with over 90% of the vote, and the state oil firm holds only minor stakes in production deals. All major decisions are routed through the presidency. His son Teodorin Obiang serves as vice president and became infamous for his flamboyant lifestyle. He used state funds to purchase Ferraris, a 200-foot yacht, and even a crystal-studded glove once owned by Michael Jackson. French courts convicted him of money laundering, seizing assets worth 150 million euros. Meanwhile, domestic spending on healthcare and education accounted for less than 10% of state revenue, even when hydrocarbons made up 90% of income. Despite glittering new buildings in the capital Malabo, only 15 minutes inland roads vanish, and residents fetch water by hand. Life expectancy stagnates at 60 years, and half of first graders never finish secondary school. UN data reports maternal mortality at 300 deaths per 100,000 births, and teenage pregnancy exceeds 33%. Vanity megaprojects became the regime's hallmark. The government spent $830 million on the coastal enclave Sipopo to host a single African Union summit, building 52 luxury villas that now sit mostly empty. Later, the state launched Ciudad de la Paz, a new capital built deep in the rainforest, covering 81 square kilometers, and designed for 200,000 residents. Despite its monumental cost, apartments remain empty and vines creep over sidewalks. The dam powering the city operates under capacity due to idle turbines and lack of spare parts. Meanwhile, ExxonMobil exited the country in 2024, citing safety issues and declining profitability. Oil production has dropped more than 70% since 2004, now hovering around 55,000 barrels per day as of 2023. The government faces mounting pressure to diversify the economy and improve transparency. The IMF released 2 emergency aid packages since 2020, tied to reforms such as budget audits and ending off-book spending. International bodies continue to demand reforms. The US threatens sanctions if Russian military support expands, while EU grants are now tied to anti-corruption milestones. The regime has long promised to sign the Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative, a key reform but has yet to follow through. Equatorial Guinea's experience stands as a cautionary tale, and that too, especially for Pakistan.